r/NoSleep. My friend has a camera that will show you your last photograph before you die. Final, Part 6. AP Pen. We need her AP pen. I shouted, running downstairs. Casey followed at my heels. Does she have one in her purse? I don't know. When seconds of scanning turned up nothing, I raced out to the car. There her purse was, in the back seat. I yanked the door open and clawed through it. There it was, the gray and orange injector, under layers of tissues and dust. I grabbed it and bolted up the stairs, my heart pounding so hard I thought I'd have a heart attack. Maribel was motionless on the floor. How do you, I started. Give it to me, she shouted, yanking it out of my hands. Shaking her head, she pulled off the safety cap and swung it hard into Maribel's outer thigh. 1, 2, 3. Are you sure you're doing it right? My brother has one. I pulled out my phone and called 911. Maribel remained motionless on the floor. I ran over to her, pressing my fingers to her neck for a pulse. It sounded weak. I backed up, breathing hard, black dots dancing in my vision. And then I saw it. Maribel's photo, lying on the floor of the closet. No, no, no. It hadn't changed. Even though we destroyed the camera, it hadn't changed. It still showed her on Ezra's porch. It didn't change, I said, shoving the photo in Casey's face. Maybe the photos, maybe they stay like that, after the camera's broken, Casey replied. She didn't sound convinced. It doesn't mean she's going to die. Or maybe we were too late. We destroyed it, after the allergic reaction started. Casey didn't reply. Sirens pierced the air. And then, chaos, EMTs charging up the stairs, bursting into the bedroom. I watched as they worked on Maribel, checking her pulse, propping her up off the floor. And then the words I'd been waiting to hear. She's breathing. They loaded her onto a stretcher and carried her down the stairs, then out the door. Wait, is she going to be okay? I asked, running out after them. Honestly? I don't know. We have to get her to the hospital, the EMT told me. I followed him towards the ambulance, but he held a hand up. Are you family? He asked. No. Sorry, kid. He jumped in the back and closed the doors. And that was it. Then the ambulance careened back into the street, lights flashing, siren wailing. And then silence. I stood there, frozen. She's not going to make it. We were too late. Her last photograph may have been the one on Ezra's porch. But the image that would be burned into my brain, forever, was this one. Her lying in the back of the ambulance, eyes closed. Head twisted to the side, patchy red blotches all over her face and neck. Everyone dies at some point. Even the person you're in love with. And with that reality comes some cold, hard facts. You will have a last kiss. A last hug. A last phone call. And, a last time you ever see that person alive. I don't know how long I stood there, in the driveway, staring at the curve in the road where the ambulance had disappeared. But then, suddenly, Casey was tugging me back. Come on, she said. We need to make sure the camera was destroyed. If it was, maybe the curse is broken. I followed her back into the house, my stomach twisting as we climbed the stairs. We made our way down the dark hallway, to the second-floor bathroom. Light spilled out from the skylight, but I still couldn't see the camera, just the shattered mirror. I forced myself to walk faster. And then I saw it. The camera was on the floor. It looked as if it had been exploded from the inside. Underneath its remains, seeping into the tile floor, was a pool of dark, thick liquid that resembled blood. The same stuff that had come out of the camera in the shed, when I'd first tried to destroy it. My stomach turned. It seemed too easy. Just take the photo of itself and that's it. Besides, Ezra said there would be consequences, right? For the person who made the camera self-destruct. We should check our photos. Just to be really sure, Casey said, heading back downstairs. Mine's in my purse. I listened to her go. Then I went into my bedroom. I'd left the photo tucked between a few books in my bookshelf. Between Fermat's Enigma and Mr. Tompkins in paperback, I eased out the photograph. It was creased slightly, now, dented and warped. I flipped it over. I don't know what I expected. Maybe a blank page. Maybe complete darkness, a photo of nothing. Maybe the same image as before. Or maybe a glitchy photo of melting, warped colors, like the photo guy at CVS had described. Either way, I hadn't expected this. The photo had changed. It showed me standing on the Ezra's porch. It matched Maribel's. I swallowed, my throat dry. If the camera was killing us in order, and my last photo was now the porch photo, that proved that Maribel was going to die at any second, and then the camera was going to move on to me immediately. There were security cameras in the hospital, for example. So I wouldn't live long enough to visit her there. Cameras at a funeral, too. Security cameras at tolls, at stoplights, at stores. You can't go very long without being surveilled. She was going to die any minute. And I'd be right after her. The photo shook in my hands as my fingers trembled. The creak of a floorboard sounded behind me. I turned around to see Casey standing in the doorway. "Hey," I said, not knowing what else to say. I held up the photo. It changed. I'm next. Mine changed too, she replied, in a small voice. What to? She didn't reply. She just stood in the doorway, unmoving, her lower lip trembling. Casey. It works in order, right? And I'm last, because I was photographed last, she asked. But her voice was different, an edge to it, an undercurrent of panic, of fear, of something. Yeah, I replied. But Maribel's probably still alive. She only left in the ambulance a few minutes ago. She took another step into the room, standing unnaturally straight, eye contact unwavering. If we changed the order, if someone else died before Maribel, maybe we'd break the curse. My heart sank as the pieces slowly fit together in my mind. What exactly are you getting at? I'm sorry, she replied. And then she lunged at me. Metal glinted, she was holding my mom's chef knife in the air. Bringing it down towards me. Casey. I screamed. I grabbed her wrist and locked my arm, using all my strength to keep her back. God, she was strong for a 120-pound cheerleader. The silver blade shivered in the air. What are you? If you die before Maribel, it'll screw up the order. The camera will be proven wrong, she said through gritted teeth. And then I won't die. You don't even know if that's true. I'm willing to try. With a gasp, she yanked her hand back. The action surprised me so much, she was able to pull out of my grip. Then darted towards me again, slashing the knife through the air. It made a horrible whoosh sound next to my ear. I grabbed her arms again, and we twisted and struggled, wobbling back and forth in the small room. A crash as my elbow knocked over a turtle sculpture I'd made in 8th grade. A snap of pain as my hip hit the corner of my desk. The floor shook. I got my hand on the knife, and pulled as hard as I could. I got it. The knife was in my hands, now. I backed away, panting, and held it up in a defensive stance. I swear, Casey, if you come any closer. She looked at me, her blue eyes wild. And then, screaming, catapulted towards me. I fell to the ground. In a flash, her hands wrapped around my neck and squeezed. I grabbed the knife. Metal hit flesh. I scrambled out from underneath her. Casey rolled off of me, falling to the ground, blooming red stain in the middle of her pink t-shirt. Her eyes roved over the room, staring up at the ceiling, as she fought for the last gasps of her life. "I'm so sorry," I said, scrambling up and backing away. "Casey, I..." For a second, her blue eyes flicked to mine. "Fuck you, Benny," she whispered. And then her eyes went blank. I sped to the hospital, trees and grass whipping by me in a blur. My photo sat in the passenger seat, but now it was perfectly blank. White as a clean sheet of paper. I ran through the hospital hallways, my heart pounding. Hoping I wasn't too late. And then I found her. Maribel lay in a hospital bed, her normally light brown skin tinged ashy gray. Her parents sat next to her, stone-faced, holding her hand. "Is she?" Her mother glanced up at me. "The doctor says she'll be okay," she said, her voice hoarse. But it was a close call. A very close call. I approached her. Her face looked so peaceful, eyes closed, dark curls splayed out over the pillow. I reached for her hand, then thought better of it. Who knew what microscopic particles were still on my hands, jump-starting the reaction again. Instead, I kept my distance, just watching her. Letting this image overwrite the one of her in the ambulance, motionless on a stretcher, as paramedics frantically worked around her. Was Casey right? Changing the order, proving the camera wrong, was that all it took, to break free? I left after a few minutes. From Maribel's parents' stairs, I don't think I was particularly welcome there. I walked out of the hospital, my heart soaring. A faint drizzle of rain began to fall, dark clouds gathering overhead. I got in the car, slammed the door, and picked up the photo for the last time. Just a piece of paper. I took a deep breath, and ripped it straight in two. Then I started the car and pulled back onto the road. I knew I had a long way ahead of me. The police would be at my house by now, finding Casey's body. It would be hard to prove that I killed a woman a foot shorter than me in self-defense. But Maribel was alive, she would be okay, and somehow that was all that mattered. Maybe that's what Ezra was talking about. When he said whoever destroyed the camera would face consequences. Maybe the layers of fate and destiny all pull towards you like a magnet, lining things up so that you won't ever be free, not really. Just as the camera orchestrates the deaths of those it photographs, it also lines up a plot of revenge on the person who destroyed it. But it didn't matter. The curse was broken, and the camera wouldn't hurt anyone ever again. When I reached the highway, I pulled down the window, and let the two pieces of photograph flutter away into the wind. Thanks for watching. Please press the like button if you enjoyed and the notification bell next to the subscribe button to never miss another video. Let me know your thoughts below. Subscribe for the next part. Bye.